I welcome to you to today's session. So, a little bit about yourself first, sir. Yeah, your introduction.
Thank you, Lavanya, and thank you and the Crazy Geek team to invite me for this wonderful discussion. I work for ACCA,
Mhm.
Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, East India, and I have been working for last, I would say, more than 17 years now, and worked across a few sectors in the finance and insurance sector, and then later on in the education sector. So obviously, I'm really very passionate about the students, and for that I keep on writing with various newspapers also. And yeah, that's what I do. I obviously look forward to train to students to choose the best for themselves in their careers. Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit about yourself. Another one thing also, I think you were the top 100 leaders, something, right, sir? You want to talk about that a bit? I think I saw in your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, that's right. So last year in the month of December 2019, I was awarded by the Education Learning, which is an organization from Prism Incorporation from USA. And I was awarded as the top 100 leaders in the field of education, contribution which I have made to the education as an industry. Yeah.
Very happy for you, sir. And I think we are going to start our session with the first question. So, the very first question is, do you think there is a gap between what we study and also what we actually apply at work? So, what is your view in terms of that?
It starts from our school days only when we start our initial education. That majority of the things which have been taught to us, not at all hands-on. So we are being pushed with a lot of theory from the education system itself. And what happens is they also based on the theory patterns only. What they do is that they will, whatever the teacher teaches in the classroom, you have to just mug it up, prepare well in the examination sheets as you can, and you score good marks. But the life is not about scoring good marks. The life is beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at what is required by what we study in the classrooms, right, there's a huge gap. And the gap is to the tune of application orientation, which means that if I've studied a particular topic today, and if I'm not able to apply that learning, then what happens is I'm not very clear on the concepts, I'm not very clear on the fundamentals. But what happens is, and I have seen a lot of candidates wherein they scored really very good marks in their education in terms of graduate. But when they went to the workplace, day one, they were not able to understand what's happening. And within 6 months, these people had to either shift their job or their opportunity. So this is something which is actually being looked by the corporates also, that they feel that there is a glitch, they're not able to retain the manpower for the long term. So it is really very important for the teachers to teach what is hands-on, what is practical application-based, rather than just teaching them the theory in the classrooms. I know teachers are burdened with a lot of completing the entire course for the preparation of the exams. However, they need to look beyond the normal or look beyond the obvious. Whatever is written in the textbook, the students should know that beyond that, they should be able to apply that learning. That is really very important. So application-based learning is the future. The institutions are looking forward to doing the same so that we get work-ready professionals. In fact, Lavanya, I can share with you that the new graduate market, it is estimated that more than 69% of the new graduates are not at all employable. And they're not employable not because there is no employment. There is employment available, but they are not able or capable enough to pick up that employment, right? And why they are not able or capable enough, although they have scored good marks, because understand the gap between what is required by the employer and what they have studied in the classroom. So I think we have a lot to work upon.
The next question, which is, since sir is working on bridging the gap between what actually happening to the reality world outside there, what would be your advice for students to bridge the gap?
Right. So for the students, obviously when they're in school, responsibility lies more with the teachers and the school itself to ensure that they give hands-on learning and application-based learning to the students. However, when they get into the college, right, there the responsibility is with the academic institution as well as with the student. Right, wherein you have an very well go and do some kind of internships, take more practical experience wherever possible. Right, there are organizations who are ready to give you the opportunity to go ahead and do those internships. Those internships, whatever your teachers teaching in the classroom, and you see that happening in the real world, it becomes easier for you to understand the concepts, because most of the lectures conducted across the world are theory-based. However, Lavanya, you're an ACCA student yourself. You have done ACCA. You might have seen that in ACCA, we have got various situations which are very much practical, right? And which put you through the opportunity of thinking, right? Wherein you have to think and come up with the solutions for the betterment of your organization. So instead of they understanding what is merger and acquisition, if they go ahead and see what's happening outside and they'll be able to see that, say, for example, in India, very recently, two very large telecom companies like Idea and Vodafone, they merged together, right? And a new player came up, which is Reliance Jio. And it is important for the students to just not understand what is merger and acquisition in terms of theory. Plus, for them is to actually look at the merger which has happened between Idea and Vodafone, and think from the side of Reliance Jio that, okay, I'm the finance manager. What impact will happen to my organization in case things are not going right with Vodafone Idea, or maybe they are able to do something more trying to do. So I think it is about that practical aspect rather than just looking at the P&L account and thinking that, okay, I have got profits this year. It is important for us to actually look at the previous books also and see that if my sales revenues are going up by 5 times every year and my losses are also 4 times every year, then what are the reasons behind it? And once you start thinking about those reasons, then you are able to apply your knowledge, you're able to use your thinking hat and better solutions and better decisions for the organizations you're going to work for in the future. So the responsibility lies with the academic institution till school, then it is with the academic institution as well as the student himself. And majority of it is in the hand of the students themselves. So they have to ensure that they are able to apply that learning wherever possible. Right. So I think there are a lot of steps which are being taken across by various organizations. You are an accountant, so I can talk about a new concept which has come up, which is more like giving a finance lab in the educational institutions, wherein students get the opportunity to practice. Right. Because we have always studied about physics lab, chemistry lab, maths lab, science lab. There's no finance lab. There's no accounting. And why we should not have that? We need to have accountants lab. We need to put the students on the shop floor, right? Instead of they're just writing, it is better for them to actually go and see how the journal entry is being written. Because practically, Lavanya, and that's the gap, that your P&L accounts and balance sheet prepared through pen and paper anymore. These are being prepared by the robots or the softwares.
Yes,
right?
Correct.
And these softwares or robots are so interesting. They can work 24/7 for you. They don't take tea, coffee breaks, right? And they don't go for lunch breaks.
Yes,
they don't ask for promotions.
Okay. Yes.
They don't ask for any kind of, and give you all the solutions what you want. Correct. But what you have to do is that they can just provide you data. They can give you a solution, but who will take the decision? You are supposed to take the decision as future professional accountants, right? Future finance managers. And to take that decision, if you don't put yourself in the right situation, right, able to manage it. Instead of just studying audit, it is better for you to put yourself in the audit situation. This will make you understand the things better. Instead of just looking at a picture of a camera, what is important for you is to actually go ahead and pick up the camera and click that picture. Then
Correct. Yes.
You are able to understand the difference between a requirement which is there in the workplace and what you have studied. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much, sir, for that answer. I think it's going to lead to another question, which is our third question. If you have given a chance to go back to school, which subject would you be full-heartedly studying beyond the books?
Right. Again, very, very relevant. And I still remember studying various subjects, and in each class, I used to have one subject which was my favorite, right? So, but I'll tell you, I was a science student till my 12th. I did not get into commerce, thinking that, yes, this is a better option. In practice school, there was no commerce option also. It was like we had only science and humanities in our school. So in case given an opportunity, I would like to study commerce once again. This is very practical. Finance, accountancy, business studies, economics, whatever we study in the classroom, immediately when you look outside your classroom window,
okay. Yes.
Right? If, for example, somebody talks about taxes, see taxes being hit, right? When somebody talks about pricing, you can see price is there when you buy a product, right? When somebody talks about, say, the balance sheet, you can see the balance sheets of various organizations which are present in front of, right? So because most of these subjects are so practical, look at this thing that when we look at the business studies or the foundations in management, when people talk about planning, organizing, the budgeting type of companies, etc. Practically, you can see all those things happening, and you are into it, whether you want it or not, right? All of us, we see all these things happening. It is for us to realize that how we are actually trying to relate what we are seeing in front of our eyes and what we are. So very, very practical subjects when it comes to commerce, and I don't think there is any other subject which can actually give you that kind of a practical outside in front of your own eyes. So I would love to study that, which I missed during studying during my school days. Yeah. I got into business administration to my plus.
Okay. Okay, sir. I think I made you back to go to your school days. Okay, so I think.
Thank you so much for that.
No worries, sir. Okay, I will go for the next question. How do we be creative at our work or job when our job itself is very mundane and monotonous, every single day doing the same thing? Yeah. So how do we be creative at it?
Lavanya, for example, correct. So, for example, if you're working for a FMCG company, right? which is manufacturing toothpaste. You can't change the product, right? Or if you're selling toothpaste, then obviously you have to sell toothpaste only. You can't go ahead and say that, no, I don't want to sell toothpaste, I'll sell a soap. In case your organization is not manufacturing that, you have to go ahead and do the same thing, right? Now, it is upon you that how creative you are. Whatever business or the product line or the services which are being offered by the organizations, they will remain the same. You can't change them. If the processes are there, you have to adhere to the processes being made by the organizations, as well as there are policies which are being given by the government. So you can't change those processes, you can't change those policies. But what you can do is actually look at looking beyond the obvious, right? So, for example, if you are being asked to manage a particular territory, you should look beyond that territory. Can you outgrow yourself, right? So I would say the baton is in your hand. You have to do it, right? So if for a runner, it's not necessary that you have to just run 100 meters. You might be a very good 100 meters runner. Tomorrow you can look at 200 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters. You can look at relay races. You can look at, right? Or maybe you can use your running in some other sports. Maybe you can get into hockey. You can get into football. You can get into some other field wherein your running can actually, in terms of your growth. So what is important for you is to look beyond the obvious, think out of the box, come up with newer solutions, newer every time. And what we have to do is that we have to start behaving like entrepreneurs while we are working with organizations. So it is important for us to become entrepreneurs for the future, right? So which we start realizing that, okay, we are the entrepreneurs of this organization and we own whatever we are doing. That ownership is really very important. It's not necessary to every startup organization. Not everybody can have a startup. Not everybody can actually go ahead and start a bigger organization. But once you're working as an entrepreneur, it is important for you to go ahead and behave like an entrepreneur. And your behavior, your ownership will make a lot of difference. That creativity will automatically come. Tell you what you have to do. You have to come up with those ideas yourself and keep your jobs vibrated, right? So you cannot be complacent. Normally, what I think in a particular field for say 5 years or 10 years, then I'll feel that, oh, I know everything about this job. I need not do anything more. But practically, in front of the mirror and reflect on yourself that, are you actually sure that you know everything about this job? Because not everybody can do everything, right? So learning is lifelong or continuous learning, right? So it doesn't stop anywhere. And in case, for example, you feel that, okay, I have achieved what I decided, then what you have to do is you have to redefine your goal. Come up with a newer goal for the next 10 years, for the next 15 years, right? And beyond that, it's important for you to come up with newer goals so that you are able to bring in that vibrancy in your job. So practically, again, it is in our hands. How do we create our own environment vibrant? And you need to enjoy day in, day out, whatever you do, you need to enjoy that. It should not happen that on Monday morning, you're going to the office and you feel that, oh, why this Monday has come back to me, right? So it is Monday morning, you should be happy and say that, yes, I was waiting for this Monday morning to come. Saturday and Sunday has been more boring. Now I'm looking forward to working and doing something good. So that passion you cannot lose that passion throughout your life. I've seen people who are 80 plus, 85, and then also they work with the similar passion which an 18 or 20-year-old will have. So if you carry that passion throughout your life, nobody can stop you from doing whatever you want in life.
Thank you so much, sir, for your advice. That is really, really inspiring. Okay, let's go to the next one, sir. Okay, what are your views for our current education system, and what are the few measures that you are taking for the betterment of the education itself?
So, not only my views, these are the views of the United Nations, of the central governments of various countries, wherein they are also looking at ensuring that students, given application-based learning, hands-on learning, they are coming up with newer areas, like, for example, opportunities for students to use sports, right, or art for learning. If you are able to use art or sports for learning, then you are able to learn things better. For example, instead of just students what is planning, organizing, directing, controlling, or budgeting, if you ask them that, okay, if you, for example, you want to cream and you are the captain, you don't have a team right now, you're the captain yourself, how will you do that? So this person has to become an HR manager first to recruit a good wicket keeper, good batsmen, and create a team. Once the team is created, this person has to look for funds, right? So he becomes a finance manager there. So once you're creating the team, you're a HR manager. Later on, what you do is that you go ahead and start looking for funds. So you become a finance manager or accountant because you have to manage funds also, right? Because then obviously you go ahead and do marketing, branding, communication. So you become a marketing manager, right? And then obviously you have to plan the calendars with the other teams. So you become an operations manager, right? And then what happens is you budget, you actually plan, create that blueprint to ensure that you are able to win the. So practically what happens is when you use sports, right, for learning, you learn it better, you understand it better. So it's not necessary that every time you have to work on the shop floor to do things. Maybe when you're in the classroom only, if you're able to come up with new ideas and new thoughts and newer ways to teach and learn, this will be really students. So that's what we are trying to do. We are also trying to give financial education to students from the school level itself, so that they are able to understand the importance of access to finances there to students who are as young as 12 or 13. There are so many ways in which they get that access, right? So they get money to buy books, they get money to buy uniforms, and so many other things. And then nowadays there are organizations who are ready to give scholarships, and obviously they are giving credit cards. There are student credit cards which are coming up, right? And students have an access to those cards, etc. So if you don't know how to manage your finances, you'll be in a nation. So it is important. And first of all, a student has to look at his own mom. The mothers at home, they're the best
Yes.
accountants, right? They know how to save money. So they have to talk to their parents, they have to talk to their other peers. And the parents, their responsibility is such that they need to talk about investments when they're sitting on the breakfast table or the dinner table. They have to talk to each other, right? And in case they start doing that, they are imbibing and give that education to the child at home. And then obviously in the schools, with the support of professional bodies like us, the schools are able to create that opportunity for the students so that they are able to understand finance age rather than doing it, say, at the age of 17, 18. If they start doing it from, say, 10, 11, 12, they become not only good professionals later on, they become good person more important. So becoming a good person, a prudent person, is more important for the future for everyone. And we are in that process, facilitate that process across all the institutions in the country, in India right now and in the other parts of the world. So I'm sure are looking at it. United Nations have clearly defined finance and accountancy as a life skill.
Yes.
Right, so it's a part of the life skills right now. With the central governments, wherein they have also defined it as an important life skill. So if you have this as a life skill, something which is related to your life, a skill which is related to, I think if you learn it at the right time, you'll be able to do better in your life in the long term. So we are definitely looking forward to a pathway to the students so that they're able to start early, learn early, and become a professional early, and look forward to a career early and retire early in the long term. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very, very good vision, sir. Because question, sir. Okay. Last
Definitely.
question is, share with us your one mistake that you made when you were a student, which the adult you, which means your current you, want to change at that point of time, which is when you were a student.
I think I have you, Lavanya, that I decided to get into science. Obviously, there was no option, but yes, somewhere I felt that okay, fine, I have opportunities, which is like I can get into medical, I can get into engineering. And by the time I completed my 12th, I was very clear in medical, right? And I'm not going to make a career in that field. And then definitely I got into business administration and further studied. So I think it was obviously important for me to take a call at that time that I should have looked at commerce, if not in the school, as an opportunity, which I did not do, thinking that yes, science is something which is considered to be on the top list when it comes to career. And that's what happens, that we have a peer pressure, we have a parental pressure,
Yes.
we have a teacher's pressure also, that okay, get into science, and if you're not in science, then you're not a good student, right? And that's the way in which we are being groomed. We are being told that science is the best. If you're not there, then you're not doing it for your life and your career. So I think as an adult one, I would say that yes, in case given an opportunity, I would like to go ahead and correct that. I would have started earlier. Otherwise, what I would say is that yes, science helped me in terms of, I would not call it a mistake. It has been a very good experience. Practically made me get that learning and build my foundation stronger, which helped me crack commerce and business subjects better. Because when you have that psyche of working on numbers and you have a psyche of working on the rest of the things which are related to numbers, then it becomes easier for you to work on the rest of the subjects which come in front of you. So obviously that gave me an opportunity to build my own foundation for the long term. So yes, in case given an opportunity, I would like to restart again with that. Obviously that's not possible right now, but then for the students who have an option, I would suggest them to make their choices, not to get under pressure when it comes to taking a decision about their careers. That's important.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. I think that's all I have for you today. So, do you have any last words you want to share to students or fresh graduates?
So I would say only one thing, that a lot of people will tell you that there is a lot of unemployment. Remember, there's no unemployment in the world. Worldwide, we have got unemployability, which means that people are not able or capable enough to pick up the employees available. So there's so many opportunities which are there. You not worry about that. In each and every field in which you're trying to work, or the areas that you would like to explore, number of opportunities. In fact, in the field of accountancy and finance, I can tell you that the demand is more and supply is less, which means that the requirement of the number of professionals is high, but people who can apply to those opportunities are less. And it is less because the people are not able or capable enough to pick up those jobs, right? So you're thinking about something in life, always focus on the development of the ability rather than just looking at the employment. So your long-term ability, and ensure that you're able to get the right skill sets, job will automatically come to you. Yeah, so you not worry about that.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. It was a great pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you so much, Lavanya, for inviting me. All the best. Have a good day. Thank you.
Have a good day, sir. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye.